listener-supported KTOO. Welcome to Juneau Afternoon, broadcasting live from the homelands of the Occoquan and on demand as a podcast. It's Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026. I'm your host, Boston Christopher. Gulchish, Hawa, Toksnusam, Salamat. Thank you for joining the conversation. Very grateful that you are here. You can also join us on our live stream on KTOO's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram pages. On today's show, Theater Alaska continues its Alaska Theater Festival 2026 with Cry It Out, a funny and heartfelt comedy about two mothers from very different backgrounds. We talk with the director and cast about this production opening this week. And the Glacial Lake outburst flood is expected to happen again this year. Sometime in early August is the latest prediction. We chat with city officials about what you can do when it comes to flood safety and preparation. Those conversations are coming up this hour on Juneau Afternoon. And a quick programming note. Juneau Afternoon will be on a summer hiatus after this week's shows from July 27th through August 14th. Our live shows will resume on Wednesday, August 19th. We are grateful for your continued support and look forward to sharing more stories, people, and events with you upon our return. This is Juneau Afternoon.
You're listening to KTOO's Tlingit Word of the Week. This week's word comes from the late Kakwan-ish George Davis. The word this week is seek.
Seek.
That means black bear. And let's hear a sentence.
Seek.
Black bear had cubs. Let's hear it again.
Seek.
Black bear. Ganesh Jish to Juneau Lance Twitchell, Goldbelt Heritage Foundation, and the University of Alaska Southeast for this audio.
Kakwan-ish George Davis was Dakdain Tan and the child of a Tsagwedi man. He grew up in Cake, Alaska, and learned to speak well because he would always bring traditional foods to the elders there. As someone who fished a lot and spent time on the land, he knew Tlingit place names all over the area, and he learned many stories and advanced ways of speaking.
Tune in next week for another Tlingit Word of the Week from KTOO.
Support for Juneau Afternoon comes from Tongass Federal Credit Union, a member-owned financial cooperative offering checking and savings accounts, loans, and digital financial services. In Juneau at 8585 Old Dairy Road in the K Plaza and at tongassfcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA.
Support comes from Juneau Compost, recycling the community's food scraps and yard debris into compost since 2017. Serving households, businesses, offices, and more with curbside collection and drop-off options. Online at junocompost.com.
This is your listener-supported Juneau Afternoon on KTOO at 104.3 Juneau, 91.7 Juneau Ock Bay, and online at kto.org. I'm Boston Christopher. You can also join us on the live stream on KTOO's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram pages. Theater Alaska's Alaska Theater Festival continues with the opening tomorrow, July 23rd, of Cry It Out, an honest and funny look at the absurdities of being home with a baby, the power of female friendship, the dilemma of going back to work, and the effect class has on parenthood in America. It's written by Molly Smith Metzler, not Molly Smith from Perseverance Theater, but a writer named Molly Smith Metzler, who you may know from her television work as the creator and showrunner of two Emmy-nominated limited series, Maid and Sirens. The show, Cry It Out, opens tomorrow night at McFeeters Hall and runs through August 9th. For dates, times, and tickets, and more information on the show, you can go to theateralaska.org. But right now in the studio, I have three of the participants, let's say, the creators, the people who are making this production happen here in Juneau. I have Heidi Handelsman, the director of the production. Good cheese, Heidi. Welcome in. How are you?
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Excellent. I also have Alexandra Wagner playing Jessie in the production. Hi,
Yes.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
And then I also have the artistic director of Theater Alaska, Flordolino Lagandino.
Hey, how you
Hey,
doing?
hey,
Hey. That's a spicy meatball.
That's a spicy meatball. The best dish you've never had, Flordolino Lagandino.
Linguine. Yeah, exactly.
Not Italian at all.
Not Italian at all, no.
Well, Gonna Cheese Talk, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you all in the studio today to talk about this awesome production of Cry It Out. So, Heidi, maybe we'll start with you.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the plot of this play, like where it's set, who's in it, like what's it all about, this play?
We've got 3 new moms who everyone's got a brand new baby. And that's the only thing they have in common. The other only thing they have in common is that they all live in this one town in Long Island, New York, that is really economically diverse. So you've got one working class mom, you've got one sort of upper middle class mom who lives right next door, and up the street you've got an extraordinarily wealthy mom. Everybody's got a brand new baby. Everybody is on maternity leave, and that's what they have in common. And I think it's really about how isolating that time can be, and that these women are. It's winter, and it's early spring, really. So they've been coming out of a winter sort of holed up with a baby, each one of them individually. And this effort to come together and create the community that really everybody needs to raise a baby. And it's a lot of coming together and coming apart. And the question, like you said, of going back to work or not going back to work and what options are available. And
Wackiness ensues.
And I wouldn't. All sorts of things happen. That's
It is a fun
where the
play.
drama lies.
It
Yeah,
is a
there
fun
it is.
play.
It is a lot of fun.
It's very well written, and the characters are full of personality and wit, which makes it really enjoyable and drives forward a lot. But it also is very poignant in the subject matter that it covers and the events that take place. So it doesn't really like manufacture the emotion so much as the emotion is just kind of there.
Right. I would think that with new mothers too, emotion is usually just right there,
Absolutely.
right? Like
it's on the
just
surface.
Absolutely.
on the surface. Everything's just
It's
there.
a lot of hormones, a lot of body functions.
Yes.
Especially if you're saying they're coming out of winter, like sort of like cabin fever with a baby, and then they're kind of sounds like they're creating their own little mommy and me club kind of thing,
Yeah.
like trying to figure out,
Yeah.
like, but also just about them. There's no babies in the production, right?
No, we have no baby actors, sadly.
We have babies, but not the baby actors.
We have babies, but no baby
I
actors.
see.
No,
Okay.
no babies are visible.
Yeah, exactly.
And Flordolino, how did this play become part of the Alaska Theater Festival for this summer?
This show is something I've been interested in doing for a long time. Heidi and I have been talking this for like 5 years or more. For
Something like that.
for a while. I first heard of this play. I saw this play when I was living in Minnesota. I just immediately kind of really wanted to work on it at some point. I remember back when I had my daughter, and she's now 9 years old. I remember working as a director in New York City and carrying my daughter, on me during rehearsals, because it could cost me $20 an hour or more to have a babysitter, and I couldn't afford it, so I just carried her with me.
I remember I also had my daughter in New York City at the birthing center that no longer exists down by St. Vincent's. Anyway, I remember we specifically bought a McLaren stroller because we had to go up and down.
High roller, you are.
Well, I know, right? Because we had to go up and down the subway stairs, and they're really bulky, those like regular ones, the Graco or whatever. But then I also remember I took my daughter to auditions while she was asleep in in the stroller and stuff, and it was just part of existence and being, a new dad, a new parent, really, right? So that's kind of wild. So you've been wanting to do this play for a while.
Wanted to do it for a while, and I spoke to about this with Heidi, and Heidi's immediately like, yes, I want to do this play.
Is that your impression of me?
Yes, that's my impression of Heidi.
That's
actually a very accurate impression. But no,
that is what I said though, for sure. I jumped at it immediately. I first read it. I had just come back from maternity leave myself. That's when it was published in American Theater Magazine. I got back to work and it was right there on the desk, and I read it immediately, and I felt I just recognized all the characters and felt a part of all of the crises and drama and hilarity that they're going through. And it just really resonated. I've been hanging on to it since then.
That's awesome. And Heidi, you have been here before.
Yes.
Because you directed our dear friend Annie Bartholomew's production of The Sisters of Whitechapel, which became her album that came out, I think, a year or so ago. But the play was done a few years ago. Was that your first time that you'd been here in Alaska?
Yeah, I had done some virtual stuff with Theater Alaska before then during the pandemic. But that was my first time being here in Juneau. I loved that production, and I was wearing my newborn baby that entire time.
Oh, right, and the baby Bjorn probably.
In the whole rehearsal process, I had my second kid. I had him he was 2 months. He turned 3 months old on opening night of Annie's show, and so I just had him with me the whole time.
That's really cool. And you two know each other from previous times outside of Alaska, right?
Yes, we went to graduate school together. She was the year ahead of me.
Yes.
And we spent 2 years together in grad school.
I see. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Where do you live now, Heidi?
I live in San Diego, California.
Oh, San Diego.
Yeah.
Okay, what's that like?
You don't want to know.
We also lived in San Diego together.
We also lived in San Diego together for about a year.
I lived in Hillcrest. And
I don't know the neighborhoods.
I lived one neighborhood next door in North Park.
I know.
So we were
this fight. They're warring neighborhoods.
The
economic, not really. So who has the best fish tacos? The war that they have going on. Yeah.
Okay, and then Alexandra, you play Jessie. Tell me a little bit about Jessie.
So Jessie is the working middle class or upper middle class mom, and she is exploring the idea of maybe not going back to her job. But prior to being a mom, she was a high-power corporate lawyer who has been working incredibly hard for years and years and is nearing making partner after being at her firm for 9 years. And the process of having a child for her completely alters her way of viewing the world and existing in the world, and has unlocked a part of her that she really, I don't think, was fully aware of how deep it was within her. And now that she is a mom, the thought of not being a mother first just isn't even feasible anymore.
It's really interesting because I don't know, this play premiered like 2017, I think at the Humana Festival, right, in Louisville. And that's not, what is that? It's almost 9 years ago, which is wild to think about how time fast is going. But that struggle has been around for a long time, probably even my generation too, like, because there was this time where it was like, women were told, go out and have a career, and motherhood can wait, and all this kind of stuff. But then you get this duality of like, okay, professional career versus being a family. Some people can do it all. I don't know how they do that.
Yeah.
But like they're able to juggle that, or they have help because they have economic status that allows them to have help.
The play gets into that part of it, I feel like, so beautifully, because it is, some people are able to make those choices and other people don't have the ability to make those choices. They really just have to do the best with the circumstances that are available to them. And Jessie is in a fortunate enough position where she can be considering this as an option. But one of the other characters, Lena, is in a position where she doesn't have the resources for it to be a choice. It is really something that is chosen for her, and then she just has to handle it as gracefully as possible.
I see. And speaking of the other characters in the play, do you want to tell me a little bit about your cohorts in the play? Who you got with you?
We have a great cast. We have Caitlin O'Mealy. She's playing Lena, who is opposite me in a lot of scenes. And then we have Alex Curtin. She's playing Adrian, who is the kind of wealthy, high-powered artist mom. And then we have Connor Lendrum. He is playing Mitchell, her husband. And they've all been really, really wonderful to work with. it's been a great process, honestly.
Yeah, I was watching some of the trailers for other productions just to get a sense of the style of the play. It seems very funny, and it kind of grips you at the beginning with the two ladies.
Yes.
Then the husband character comes in and says, hey, can my wife join you all? And then sort of the three, and then all those dynamics happen between class and everything else going on, the differences between how they are as moms, probably, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. And so is it one of those things, Heidi, where it's like we laugh, and then we cry? Is that what's going to happen for me here?
I think that the laughing and crying sort of come and go, sort of
Or crying through laughter, perhaps.
We'll cry through laughter. We'll laugh through tears, and it doesn't build to one crying moment necessarily.
No,
maybe it does.
Well, maybe
it does.
I think it's both.
Yeah, you don't want to spoil the end, never. Obviously.
I think it's both.
But also, the other question I have is, obviously, I think there's an audience of moms out there who should definitely come and see this play.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But also, maybe the husbands should come too, right?
Yes.
Or the
Absolutely.
fathers if they're not husbands necessarily.
Yeah.
Not everybody's married. But
Yeah.
so the men should go to this play as well. Why should they come, Heidi?
Ask Flordelino, because he is the dad in the room.
He's the dad.
He is the one,
why should the men
and
get
he
there?
pulled,
Flordelino?
and he brought the play to me.
Yeah.
No, I think that it's a way of understanding, from a different dynamic for myself, but also like seeing Connor in that role. What's it mean to be a father and also having to juggle the same things? What is my role as a dad? So I think that's really important in this play. But I think the reason why we're bringing this play to this community too is like I think it is something like you're just saying is like there's a lot of moms here, obviously there's a lot of dads here. I think these are issues that I think that everyone deals with, and whether we be in Long Island or in Alaska, we still have the same things that we're facing. I think that's a really big part of why we're doing this in this community is because these are themes that resonate here in Alaska.
It's interesting because I feel like, and maybe the play gets into this a little bit, it does obviously with your character, I think, in terms of the struggle to the idea of maybe going back to work or not going back to work. But like, I feel like so many people these days, you can't make it on one income unless you have some really highfalutin job, right? So like if you have a kid or two kids, like your entire existence can change because of that child, and then your circumstances with your jobs may change, and like you're sometimes forced to go back to work, but then daycare costs just as much as like half your income perhaps. Like it's really wild, the challenges.
My mom actually, when she had, I'm one of three, and when she had my younger brother, she decided to stop going to work. And at that point, she was like vice president of a marketing company. And she, instead of doing that, she started doing daycare for, I think, 8 kids. And she ran it out of our house. But it was, for her, it was more important for her to be able to be around us and to watch us growing up. And the money that you save from daycare combined with the money she was making from those kids, and my dad was working 2 jobs at that point in time, made it so that it was attainable. And she still to this day talks about what a blessed life she's lived because she was able to do that. So, but it is a privilege that certain people have that ability to make it work, and other people just, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
I also do want to add that there's also something in the play about the value of work.
Yes.
And that work can be something that is rewarding and fulfilling and can be a focus in the life of a mother, that they don't want to give up work.
Totally.
And so there's a real push and pull, not just out of the necessity of work, but also the necessity of work for yourself.
Yeah,
your identity,
Absolutely.
right? Because I think that becomes a thing too. Like sometimes I feel like people get wrapped up in, I'm just a parent, which obviously we all know that parenting is the hardest job there is.
Absolutely.
Really, and one of the most important jobs there is. But you get wrapped up in that of like, is that the only thing that I do? Is that all I am?
Well, and you don't want to lose your individual self.
Right, right. Because you are giving up so much of yourself to have children, which is pretty wild. Well, it sounds like this is going to create a lot of community conversation, which is what Theater Alaska is all about, going out into spaces. So, Flor, tell me a little bit about, we open tomorrow night, and we're going to be running for 3 weeks. Tell me, like, where we're going to be at this time around? Because your company goes in and out of different places in the community.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks we're going to be at McFeeder's Hall downtown at 325 Gold Street this Thursday through Sunday, again, and the next Thursday through Sunday. And the tickets there are pay as you want. So our real ticket price, quote unquote, is $35, but you can pay as you want.
Yeah, I love I looked at the website, your ticket site, and you have it from, you can pay $50, you can pay $20, you can pay $0. Like you can just create a ticket.
Exactly.
So all accessible for all.
Accessible for all.
Yeah.
And then we have some really wonderful partners. We're going to the Juneau Family Birth Center on Thursday, August 6th. On August 7th, we're going to the University of Alaska Noyes Pavilion. On that's Saturday, August 8th, we're going to Jensen Olson Arboretum. Go to www.theateralaska.org to register for tickets for Jensen Olson Arboretum. And then we're going to end at Mendenhall Valley Public Library for our final
Which
performance.
also is usually a very packed house. The
Usually
library
big.
show is really packed.
Yeah.
And the Jensen Olson Arboretum has limited space.
Yes.
And so that's why you have to register in advance.
Exactly.
Hopefully the weather will be fantastic.
Hopefully weather will be fantastic. We've generally, like in our you've been at a show, we had like over 150 people, I think, there at that show.
Yeah.
But we're limiting it a little bit more so people can hear a little bit better. So,
Right. Is this more of an intimate?
Yeah, it's much more
Yeah,
intimate.
this
so
is an intimate show.
we have like
yes.
80 to about 80 seats that we're going to, or spaces, but bring your own seating for that.
Is this the most contemporary show that you've
is.
done in the summertime?
It is definitely the most contemporary show.
Because a lot of times it's been Shakespeare, or we did Pride and Prejudice, things like that are a little bit louder, a little bit larger in terms of tone and style. So this is more of a contemporary piece, right? Sort of a talky piece. But it's also, I want to stress that it's very funny, right?
It is very funny.
Yeah.
It is very funny.
So I was reading the script a little bit at the beginning of it, and there's just some of the stuff at the beginning is so funny.
Oh, it's so good. And it's so real too, which is also really wonderful. Like for any new parent or anyone who has friends who are new parents, you experience things where you're like, oh, that is so real. And it's very cathartic in a way to be able to laugh at the chaotic reality of new babies.
Yeah, absolutely. They can be very funny.
And I think it's not just for new parents, it's for anyone who
totally.
has ever been a new parent too.
Yeah.
Our sound designer, who is a dad and also has a 9-year-old, our first conversation was, hey, this brought up so many memories for me of having a brand new baby. So it's not just for the new parents. Although I do want to say something that Flordelino and I have talked about is that I'm hoping that people do bring babies.
Yeah, you can bring babies.
Bring your baby.
Bring babies.
Bring the baby.
Strap that baby on and
Strap them on.
come see the show.
Yeah, we go to, how do you ask me? It's like, can you bring your babies? I was like, well, like at Pride and Prejudice, people are walking around. You can bring your baby. It's fine. Bring your baby.
It's an interesting thing because the challenge, this time it sounds like you're going to be more locked down into one space for at least a couple weeks.
Yeah.
You're not changing every night like
Right.
sometimes
We have
you
lights,
do.
too.
And you have lights in McFeeder's Hall? Okay, that's going to be great. So a little bit more of a structure to it. But I know, Alexander, you've been part of other shows.
Yeah, I did
And-
Christmas Carol with Theater Alaska back in 24, so not this last year.
Okay,
but the year
24.
prior.
Yeah, and that one was all over the place.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, and a big cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like a little bit different kind of experience, right?
It was absolutely. This has been. I do think that especially for this show, being in one space and being in a space where it is, it kind of lends itself to that intimacy because it is a lot of conversation and it's not that kind of more flamboyant, big performance. I think that it really lends itself to this show, but Christmas Carol was an amazing experience, and being able to pack up the van and roll 30 people around town was also great.
And remind me, you've been in Juneau for how long?
I lived in Juneau for 2 years, but I'm actually based out of Colorado now.
Oh, you don't live here?
No, I came out just for this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, a little summer project.
Yes, this was Flordelino's gift to me to have me come out and be a part of this production in the midst of a beautiful Juneau summer.
Okay, and what do you do in Colorado?
Currently, I work for an electrical contracting company,
Okay.
and I've done some work with the Evergreen Players out there. But
I was going to say, have you gotten involved with some of the...
I'm still getting my foot in the door. I used to be involved in theater a lot when I lived there prior to moving out to Alaska, but that was like 6 years ago. So
Right.
it's changed a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Heidi, you're down in San Diego, as you said.
Yes.
And what kind of theater do you do down in San Diego? I know you direct some youth stuff and things like
Yeah,
that.
I'm mostly in San Diego. I am mostly teaching.
Teaching. Okay.
Teaching high school and middle school. So I am doing musicals and plays created by 12-year-olds.
Oh, fun.
Teaching sixth graders how to write plays.
Okay.
Which is a wild and very rewarding.
We've done that
kind of
here. I
career.
know Theater Alaska's been
Yes.
involved with that here in town. Yeah, absolutely. They come up with some cool stuff.
They really do. They are not so deep into puberty that they haven't lost their sort of wild imagination
Nice.
streaks, and they haven't gotten self-conscious about it yet. So they come up with some really just off the wall bonkers plays, and I do love it.
That's awesome.
It's a fun job.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
fun
great.
way to
That
make
sounds
theater.
so good. Well, it's great to have you both back in
Yeah.
Juneau
Yeah.
and putting on this play. It's called Cry It Out. It opens tomorrow, July 23rd. It runs for 3 weekends, a couple weekends at Feeders Hall, and then various locations on the last week. You can find times and tickets and more information and see bios of everybody who's in the show over at theateralaska.org. Heidi, Alexandra, Flordelino, thank you so much for joining me today on Juneau Afternoon and talking about this cool play. It sounds really fun.
Thank
It
you,
will be.
Boston.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Gonna for being here.
Gonna
So as we go out, this is kind of fun because this is a really cool song that just dropped yesterday. The Heists, Andrew and Aaron, local singer-songwriter duo, The Heists, they dropped a new song called Break and Mend. It's the first single from their upcoming EP that's releasing this September. For more information, you can go to theheist.bandcamp.com. So we want to take a listen to this song now. This is Break and Mend from The Heists here on Juneau Afternoon.
First time Mickey saw the sea, he was just 18. He was so naive and he'd signed himself up for the U.S. Navy. He knew right away his mistake, but he was raised to honor when you shake, and he wanted to be a man who'd served his country. Have you ever seen the sea rolling out of sight? Have you ever seen the sea reflect the stars at night? She's wide and deep and uncaring, not an enemy or a friend. She'll take all that you give her. She'll break. She'll Kentucky boy saying off to war. He saw so much more than he bargained for, and he did what he was told for a few dark years. And he got back home and he tried to find that simple life that was calm and quiet, but you can't just give away unwanted souvenirs. Have you ever seen the sea rolling out of sight? Have you ever seen the sea reflect the stars at night? She's wide and deep and uncaring, not an enemy or a friend. She'll take all that you give her. She'll break and she'll mend. Years later on his dying bed, trying to understand the life he's led, the space between good and bad. He is so deep and vast. It seems no matter how far he's come, some things in life can never be undone. Old memories may fade, but you can't erase the past. Have you ever seen the sea rolling out of sight? Have you ever seen the sea reflect the stars at night? She's wide and deep and uncaring, not an enemy or a friend. She'll take all that you give her. She'll break and she'll mend. She'll take all that you give her. She'll break and she'll mend.
Support for Juneau Afternoon comes from Heritage Coffee Roasting Company, providing Juneau with locally roasted coffee for over 40 years, with cafes and drive-through locations throughout Juneau. More at heritagecoffee.com. Support for Juneau Afternoon comes from Emil Mackey at Country Financial, offering insurance for home, auto, and business, and life insurance to protect your family in case of death. Located in the Juneau Nugget Mall. More information can be found online or by calling 907-500-7017.
Hanson Gress, ka eat with the shuyi, we kashuk ayitin. Jin kat ka ke jin tak anakaya ha anikak, gunnish cheesh.
This is Juneau Afternoon from your listener-supported public media station, KTOO. I'm your host, Boston Christopher. For the last few years now, each summer, the Glacial Lake outburst flood has been a major concern out in the valley. Work has been done to mitigate the damage, and long-term solutions are in deep conversation with a variety of parties and agencies. But in the meantime, safety and preparation should be top of mind. I am joined now by folks from the city and borough of Juneau. I have in the house with me now Ryan O'Shaughnessy, the Emergency Programs Manager. How are you today, Ryan?
Thanks, Boston. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. I also have Sarah McDonald, GIS and Operations Technician for the city and borough of Juneau.
Thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure to have you in. This is the first time you've been on Juneau Afternoon.
Yep.
Excellent. Yep. Welcome. And then we also have Phil Hibshin, who is definitely a recent or a regular visitor to Juneau Afternoon. He is the engagement specialist for the city and borough of Juneau. How are you today, Phil?
I'm good. I'd say recent and regular.
And regular, yeah. For the last few years anyway, in different variety of roles. Anyway, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you here. We want to talk flood and safety prep. And I want to pull up an image first right away here because I think you just posted this on Instagram, I think today, that the flood hotline is open. It's open, right, Phil?
It is absolutely open. We've already had a few calls today.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yes. So that hotline is available for anyone to call. The number is 907-500-0890. We have real life and in-person people answering that phone.
Not AI bots?
Not AI bots
Good.
who are ready to answer questions regarding preparedness, what is going on with Suicide Basin, just all those kinds of topics. So feel free to call that number. It is operating 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., so regular business hours during weekdays, Monday through Friday.
Yes.
Once the basin is full, those hours are extending to Saturday and Sunday as well. And then once the release begins, it's kind of all hands on deck, and we are moving that to 24/7 operations.
It'll be
So
24/7.
whenever someone needs to talk with somebody about what's going on or ask questions, there will be someone there ready to answer questions.
And one caveat, this is for non-emergency calls and questions. If there's something in danger or something's really, really bad, of course, call 911.
Please call 911.
Right, that is a thing. But this is informational line. You can also go to bit.ly/Juneau Flood Ready for a lot of information. So let's get into it. So first of all, Sarah, I want to find out, what is GIS and Operations Technician? What do you do?
Absolutely. So GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. So what I do is I make maps and do data collection. So like if we're thinking about last year's flood, that dashboard that showed the different degrees of damage of, if we had destroyed, there would be destroyed, major, minor, affected. That's something that I created, and it presents to leadership to show how bad or how, maybe potentially we didn't get as bad. And so it's a really great way. And it also is really helpful with the HESCO barriers. We can see how much we're protecting for properties and assessed values, and also, people's homes. So.
Right. Okay, that's kind of cool. How long have you been doing that work?
Well, I actually came in on the first GLOF in 2023. Me and my husband came in on the ferry
Oh,
the
wow.
night before.
Oh, wow.
So I've been here for 3 years, and my first week at CBJ was working flood. Yep. So this will be my fourth flood.
Wow, welcome to Juneau.
Yeah.
So what does your husband do?
He works at Eagle Crest.
Okay, excellent. Awesome. Well, welcome to Juneau, even though you've been here for a few years now.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's interesting. So over the last couple of years that you've been working this, what have you seen in terms of changes or different levels of preparation and safety that people have been using the information for?
Absolutely. I would say that there's always so much information out there, right? Like last year we had the Michael Baker inundation maps that people were relying on the JuneauFlood.org website, which we have kind of moved away a little bit from that now, as that modeling is just no longer accurate. And we've been having the Army Corps help us a lot with that modeling and all that stuff. And looking at that evacuation map on our website at Flood Preparedness Evacuation Map, it encapsulates the potential the evacuation area that we are trying to cover.
I see.
And the reason why it's so big from last year's evacuation map, if we look back to this year, is it's not just if a property gets inundated or a house, it's if the roads get closed off due to floodwaters.
Right.
So
okay.
if EMS can't get to your property or you can't evacuate because there's floodwater, that is why there are certain areas that are also included in the evacuation map.
Yeah,
this
I saw
year.
this year it's further down, right? It goes past like Safeway or something, right? It goes towards that area, so that will be sort of the evacuation area.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So everything, when you're looking at that map, everything in red is like the evacuation area. And then this year we also did include the skaters cabin area in the visitor center, because the U.S. Forest Service has expressed that sometimes people like to go up there. So we're trying to also really tell people not to go to skaters cabin in the visitor center to watch and everything like that. Just really stay away from the area during the release.
And part of that is because you want emergency vehicles and other crews to be able to get in there, and you don't want people parking on the outskirts and blocking ways and things like that.
Absolutely. And this year, one of the big things that we have very graciously been given from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is the pumps, right? They're helping us out so much with those pumps, and we have pump crews that are going to be out, turning them on and monitoring them and making sure that everything's okay. And if our crews can't get around because of cars or traffic, it's going to make it harder to potentially respond to an area that needs assistance.
I see. Okay. And I know that I think the last I saw from the National Weather Service website, which was saying that the window right now is like August 5th through the 10th for the release, right?
For the full basin.
Oh, for it to fill.
Yeah. Full basin is August 5th through the 10th, and then we have that 1 to 6 day window for the release.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, Ryan, what should we be doing? What should people who live out in that area be doing in preparation, the run up to sort of this, when the basin's full?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we really kind of communicate preparedness in a ready, set, go framework. So right now, as the basin is filling, but has the potential to release and have a large amount of water, we're in the ready phase. And so what folks should be doing is going to the Juneau Flood Preparedness website, looking at these maps that Sarah's talking about, and understanding their risk, right? And so like, am I at risk? Should I evacuate? And kind of making those decisions ahead of time. It's thinking about maybe I should take some things off of the floor, and really just being aware of your risk and making a plan. When we get to a point where the basin becomes full, that's when we're going to move from ready or green into set or yellow.
Okay.
And that's just what it sounds like, right? It's like, okay, let's start to like get that plan in motion, but not quite actualized yet. So that's when you're making sure you have gas in the car, right? That's when you're calling a friend and saying, hey, can I stay with you sometime in the next week? That's when you're putting your go bag right next to the front door. And you're just, the plans that you've made and ready are now set and ready for go. And when the basin releases, that's when we move into go. At each of these changes, the CBJ and all of our partners within the Unified Command, Tlingit Haida, the state of Alaska, will issue a warning that will go out to folks' phones to let them know that we've made that transition. And when we go, that's when it's time to evacuate.
I see.
Like Sarah said, we really want folks to help keep each other safe. And the best way to do that is just steer clear of the neighborhood, of the area. Don't be going to Safeway to run your errands that day. Just hunker down and give our first responders the space that they need to move around the area and operate.
Yeah, and I have the diagram up of the Ready, Set, Go. You can find this on, if you just go to juneau.gov, there's a button right at the top that says flood preparation, and you can click that, and there's all this information we're talking about is sort of linked there. You can see a lot of the stuff. You can see this diagram that Ryan just sort of went over. Post that up on your refrigerator, whatever it is, so that you can have that there as a gentle reminder. And so, Ryan, what do you caution folks who maybe are in this outer skirt zone evacuation who are just like, I'm not leaving? What do we say to those folks who are sort of intent on staying put?
Yeah, that's a great question, Boston. We really strongly encourage everyone to evacuate. I think that some general best practices during this event are, of course, to evacuate, to be out of the neighborhood, but also stay away from the HESCO barriers throughout the entirety of this event. I think that's really, really important. These barriers are essentially sandbags, right? And so they're effective, and we have a very tremendous amount of confidence in them. But at the end of the day, they're fragile. And
they're not concrete, right?
They're not concrete.
Yes.
They're not, perfect. And this is a natural disaster, right? Unpredicted things can happen. And so if there was a breach of the barriers, that water would come through very, very quickly. It would be a flash flood scenario, and people would not have time in that scenario to evacuate their homes safely. So that would be a shelter in place. If you happen to be in your home when that kind of scenario were to occur, the best thing to do would be to get to the highest point in your home. But to avoid even the stress of having to do that or the potential danger to yourself and first responders, we just really encourage everyone to evacuate ahead of time. It's a pretty short window, right? If there's one night a year to ask a friend if you can crash on their couch, that's the night to do it.
Absolutely. And luckily there hasn't really been, besides, obviously there's been property damage, things like that, but we haven't had any loss of life from the flood, right?
That's right, Boston. At least not as a direct, like during these events. And we want to keep it that way, right? That's our number one objective is always going to be the protection of life and personal safety. And like I said earlier, we really want the community to help us help their neighbors. And the best way to do that is just stay away from the area, make sure first responders aren't going to have to come rescue you, and give them time to work on dewatering and dealing with the water that could localize and pond.
And there's, I want to pitch this because I think it's really interesting. Friday on the show, we're going to have a climate psychologist who deals with people. She's just moved to Juneau. And so it's all about people who have, the fear of living in that area. What do you do? How do you handle that? So tune in Friday for that conversation. That's going to be a really interesting idea because I want to ask her about some of the psychology behind, obviously it's your home and you want to protect it, and you don't want to leave it, but you also don't want to risk, your life or the lives of others.
Totally.
That kind of thing. Now, he mentioned, Phil, the phone and the text messages that go out, and there's a great thing that you all do, which is you can sign up for these alerts, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
You can absolutely sign up for the alerts. As Ryan mentioned, they will go out at those critical times to let you know what the recommended action is for you to do in that moment if you're in an affected area. If you're not signed up yet and you want to be signed up, all you have to do is text CBJ to 38276, and that will sign up. If you're unsure if you're signed up, feel free to text it. It won't take you out of the list or anything. It'll just say, yep, you're signed up.
Don't text stop. That's all. Don't text
Don't
stop.
do that.
And give me the number one more time.
38276.
38276.
You can also visit bit.ly/CBJ alerts, and that's an online sign-up form. We encourage everyone to sign up for those.
And I think it's valuable for people who don't even live in that area to sign up as well, just so they know, because like you said, the evacuation zone is going to be a little bit wider this year, a little bit bigger, and so you don't want to be driving through those areas or, get frustrated because you can't get past Safeway or something like that.
And we utilized that same communication method during the winter storm last year, so it gets reused for different events.
Oh, nice. So it's just emergencies.
I was going to say, I know GLOF has become very in our lives and, everything like that. But, for the winter storm, we did utilize it. And it was, my phone was going off and everything like that, too, when I was getting pizza. So it was perfect.
I noticed, too, Ryan, that the HESCO barriers, they've added more, right? And that you all have done some of that. Everybody's working together to make this happen, right? And I noticed, I think I was on the Dyke Trail taking a walk, and there's some over there now, which I felt like was pretty far. They're not as tall as some of the other ones, but they're still there because that bank is pretty steep, I guess. But so is there, like you said, I know in previous years I'd seen people putting their plants on top of the barriers and things like that. But really, you just want to leave them alone, right?
Yeah, if you're putting a potted plant on top of a barrier in your backyard, that's fine, right? I think what we
try to make it a little pretty, right?
Sure. There's no reason to do that. Well, there's some things we definitely don't want to do, and that would really, we don't want to plant anything in the actual HESCO barriers. We don't want to modify the screens or the structure of the HESCO barrier in any way. So we don't want to cut them or have anything that would be like a fire hazard too close to them. But setting things on the HESCO barriers, potted plants, and trying to beautify them a little bit in that way is really a good way to try to make some lemonade out of the lemons of having HESCO barriers.
But don't stand on them and watch the flood.
Yeah, it's we saw last year.
I did see photos of that.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw last year. There's a tree in the Diamond Park area took out a whole 20-foot section of HESCO barriers in less than 10 seconds. Right, and the water on the other side of these barriers is moving so quickly that there would just not be any way to get off of the barriers in that scenario. Right, if you were standing on them and a tree struck it would be very, very difficult to rescue that person from the river with the water moving that quickly.
Because there's also that if you get in the water, you're the undertow and all the things they talk about, you're just going to get swooshed away. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean for reference, right, the Colorado River averages around 10 to 12,000 cubic feet per second throughout the year. It fluctuates quite a bit, right, but that's its average. And during this event, the Mendenhall River can jump up to 50,000 cubic feet per second.
Wow.
It's just an absolutely enormous amount of water. It's very, very dangerous. It's moving very quickly. And so the best way to stay safe is just to stay off of the HESCO barriers.
Absolutely. And is there anything you want to mention now about, I know there's been conversations and you've had some flood prep, seminars, things like that. Is there anything that's going on for the future? I know there's talks. There's a lot of things going on with that. Can you update us a little bit on possible timelines of that? Because this is not something that's going to be going away anytime soon.
Yeah, so our leadership has been working really hard with all levels of government, tribal, state, local, and federal, to pursue a long-term solution. The CBJ is supportive of whatever the fastest and most economical option to be. Right now, we believe that to be an emergency tunnel tapping Suicide Basin and continuously draining it. We're supportive. We're really grateful for all of the work that the Army Corps has put into this and evaluating all of the different options. And I also want to recognize our congressional delegation. Just very recently there was some news from Senator Sullivan's office that the project of an emergency tunnel was included in a draft of a Water Resources Development Act. So that's very encouraging to hear. It's very encouraging that our leaders in Washington, D.C. are paying attention and that the Army Corps is really receptive to moving the project forward.
And there'll just be announcements as things move forward, right? You all just keep putting out press releases, and Phil's office, communications office, will be doing that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now we are we are very focused at like you said at the beginning of this on keeping folks safe for the next month. But we're also in parallel to that still pedal to the metal on a long-term solution.
Yeah, because I've had recently on the show, I've had the scientists from UAS on, I've had some other folks on, and it's not a situation where it's just gonna go away.
No,
it's gonna be a few more years of this, and hopefully a solution comes along. And Sarah, from your angle, in terms of the GIS work and everything, what do you think about the future in terms of what's going on with this?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, I would love to see my community not be affected by this. That would be like, if I could have anything in this world, not for this to keep happening. But I think as we get more resources like the Army Corps of Engineers, who have a fantastic team and also have GIS experts that are going to be in on this, the more resources that we bring, I think the better and better it's going to get every year. And obviously this is not an ideal situation for anybody. But I think that every year we do get better. And even last year compared to this year, it hasn't even happened yet, but I can see the strides we've made in our emergency response. And in data, in our operations teams, and everything across the board. So, I think we're really doing a lot of good.
Do you think? Go ahead, Ryan.
One way you could see those strides, it seems like a small thing, but it's really not, is the sandbag resource that the Army Corps has provided.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. The Army Corps did provide a sandbagging machine to us. So this machine, instead of having to manually break your back and then have to go place them at your house, it does the sandbagging. It clasps the bag, fills the sand, and then it goes on a conveyor belt, and then it's placed on a pallet. And so it makes it a lot faster. And we've been having sandbagging events every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Diamond Park. And we've had a really good drive-up scenario this year where you drive up, you pop your hood or your trunk, not your hood, get the sand in there, but you pop your trunk or you put it in the flatbed, and then, the volunteers load you up and you go drop them off at your house and come back if you need more or,
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah.
Sort of it's like fast food sandbags.
Exactly,
Yeah, right.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of good... From what I've heard, I've had a lot of good conversations with residents being very happy with, just having that little stress also off their back compared, because they're going to have to go through another flood and everything like that. So having them say like, hey, this really means a lot, really just, makes it all worth it. And it's really great to see that that's something that we're doing to help them.
That's really cool. I think that's awesome. And again, Phil, can you give us, as we go out today, just remind us of the websites and where we need to go to get the information?
Yes. Number one thing, sign up for emergency alerts. Again, text CBJ to 38276. If you have questions about flood preparedness or resources that might be available to you, call our hotline between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. That number is 907-500-0890. And as you said earlier, if you just want to learn more about what's going on and what CBJ is doing, visit our website. There's a button right at the top left corner, I believe, that says flood preparedness, and that'll take you to the flood prep page that has everything on it.
It's got all this great stuff.
Yeah.
I had some of it here, like what to put in your disaster kit, and learning how to shut off your power, gas, and water at your home, and all that stuff is all available on the website, so you can get really ready for this event.
I will also add, if you don't like making phone calls and prefer to send emails, you can also email questions to floodresponse@juneau.gov.
I love that. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Phil, Sarah, Ryan. I really appreciate it as we get ready for GLOF 2026.
Thanks for having us, Boston.
Thank you, Boston.
This is Juneau Afternoon on KTOO.
I'm Dr. Anthony Lazarowitz, and this is Climate Connections. Wastewater treatment plants remove pollutants from sewage before it returns to lakes, rivers, and oceans. But that treatment process can produce some harmful pollution of its own. Jose Porro is CEO of Cobalt Water Global, a company that helps water utilities reduce their nitrous oxide emissions. Nitrous oxide is a powerful global warming gas.
Nitrous oxide is also an ozone-depleting gas.
And it can be created as an unintended byproduct of wastewater treatment during the removal of nitrogen. Nitrogen is present in people's urine, and it has to be removed because if it ends up in waterways, it can cause harmful algae growth and other problems. But under certain conditions, the microbes that break down nitrogen can produce nitrous oxide. Porro says the problem can often be fixed through simple tweaks. For example, aerating the water less at certain times, so less oxygen gets in. So his company uses machine learning to help utilities monitor and fine-tune their processes.
We've been able to achieve up to 80 to 90% reductions in the N2O emissions from making simple process adjustments.
So water treatment plants can clean the water without adding as much pollution to the atmosphere. Climate Connections is produced by the Yale Center for Environmental Communication. To learn more about climate change, visit climateconnections.org.
That's going to do it for today's Juneau Afternoon. Reminder, Juneau Afternoon will be on summer hiatus beginning next week for 3 weeks. Our live shows will return Wednesday, August 19th, but we will have shows this Thursday and Friday. On tomorrow's show, we chat with former Juneauite and Perseverance Company member Joyce Perry Moore. She has a book, Fill the Room, an invitation to take up space, and a book signing event here in town on August 7th, plus a visit with Chancellor Aparna Palmer from the university. Juneau Afternoon airs Wednesday through Friday at 3 p.m. right here on KTO Juneau 104.3 and KAUK Juneau Akbay 91.7. You can find the show online at kto.org/Juneau Afternoon, and you can find live stream archives over on our YouTube page. I'm Boston Christopher, producer and host of the program, with help today from Aaron Tripp. Gunneth Chish, we're going to go out with a little more of The Heist when they performed here live on the red carpet stage right here in Studio 2K. Reminder, their album will be coming out in September, and their first single dropped to yesterday. You can go and listen to it on all the online streaming platforms. Hear a little bit more of The Heists.
Set